This advertisement right here is extremely misleading.
Do not allow any cuts in the Medicare Advantage plans.
Please protect Medicare Advantage.
I beg you, please continue with Medicare Advantage.
You wouldn't want your mother or father to have to worry about how they're going to pay for their medical care.
Oppose the No Upcode Act.
Let me contextualize what you're seeing. So for those who don't know, here's the basics. Medicare is a government insurance program for members of the population who belong to a number of different vulnerable groups who might not usually be able to afford health insurance for themselves. So this typically includes the elderly, people with serious disabilities, people who are extremely poor, that sort of thing. And Medicare is split up into various parts. So Part A covers hospital insurance, Part B covers medical insurance, Part D covers the cost of prescription drugs, and so on and so forth. Medicare Advantage, which is what this advertisement is referring to in very vague terms, is Medicare Part C. So whereas traditional Medicare is a fee-for-service program. That is to say, the government is your insurer, and because it is, paid for in part by taxpayers, the people who use it only have to pay like a much lower copay than they otherwise would if they were using a private plan like Aetna or United Health or what have you. Medicare Advantage, though, is structured differently. The way that Medicare Advantage works is you have private insurers, like for instance, United Health or Aetna, who partner with the government. And the federal government reimburses these private insurers based on what the private insurers report they need to have covered. So, for instance, they may say, hey, look, we have, 20 million people with Medicare Advantage plans who are in acute liver failure. Now, this is just an example. I'm completely pulling that number out of my butt. But the point is, they report to the federal government, hey, we have this many people with this condition. And the federal government has to take their word for it. But here's the problem. Private insurers who are involved in the Medicare Advantage program have figured out a little bit of a scam that they can run, which is called upcoding. Upcoding is when the insurers, the insurance companies, report to the government in ways that are just a little bit disingenuous, just a little bit dishonest. So they will portray the health condition of their clients as being more severe, more risky, more expensive than it actually is. They may throw in extra diagnoses that the patient doesn't actually fit, right? And the federal government, in many cases, cannot really double check this. So the private insurance company ends up getting a ton of taxpayer money, which it then pockets. This upcoding practice does not in any way make the insurance cheaper or more accessible on the actual service side. So, in March of this year, the No Upcode Act was introduced by one Republican and one Democrat member of Congress. They were co-sponsoring it, and they have introduced this act in the past. And the point of this act is to ban upcoding, to ban this disingenuous practice, right? And this is an idea that has support really across all sides of the aisle. So like really conservative people and really progressive people within Congress all agree this is not good for anyone. Within Medicare, the Medicare Services own auditing center inside the federal government, they have found that Medicare Advantage upcoding cheats taxpayers out of as much as $84 billion a year. $84 billion is a lot of money. It's almost unfathomable. But to put it into perspective, that is 3 times the annual NASA budget or more per year. Right? So let that sink in. 3 times the NASA budget per year of waste, fraud, and abuse frankly, that's exactly what it is, that the private insurance companies are profiting off of at the expense of the taxpayer and at the expense of the vulnerable, elderly, and the poor and the homeless and disabled and what have you. So this advertisement is funded by a dark money group whose information I'm going to put up on screen. And they are aligned with a couple of other dark money groups, like the Taxpayer Protection Alliance. And they sort of run under this seemingly innocuous name, right? And on top of that, they use these scaremongering clips of old people saying, please don't touch my Medicare Advantage. Please don't mess with the program, right? And they're using this in service of getting you to call your representative and tell them to
Oppose the No Upcode Act.
What they're trying to make you think is that the No Upcode Act is going to kick old people off of their insurance program. There is no evidence whatsoever that banning upcoding will make the insurance opportunities go away for anyone. This is strictly the insurance companies trying to keep their racket going. They are funding these PACs. They are not being upfront about their funding statements like they're supposed to be. The Federal Election Commission, the FEC, has pretty strict rules in place, and they're getting around them through legal loopholes, just as they are also using legal loopholes to pocket your taxpayer money at the expense of vulnerable people who are supposed to be getting Medicare Part C coverage. So let this sink in, okay? Now, it beguiles me, it frustrates me, it angers me to see the myriad and complex ways that people come up with to scam elderly people. To a certain extent, I also am a little bit frustrated that, the boomer generation sometimes lacks a little bit of perspicacity when it comes to these kinds of things. They struggle to spot scams, but also I get it. If you are old, the world is scary and confusing sometimes. It maybe doesn't look like how it did when you grew up. You've got a lot of health problems that you didn't have before. You're more fragile. And so you are more susceptible to messaging like, please don't touch this program, I beg you. And this is part of a pattern across politics. For some reason, big dark money groups love to take advantage of old people. About this time last year, I was involved in the Larry Hogan Senate campaign. And by the way, I'm not accusing the Larry Hogan Senate campaign of anything. I'm just bringing this up for a reason. So as I was campaigning, early in October, a big story dropped that reported that WinRed, which is a Republican turnout PAC, and Act Blue, which is a Democrat turnout PAC, were scamming old people to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars per person by using misleading language in order to get them to make recurring payments. They were being told that, a crisis would occur if they didn't pay. They were being lied to about their payments coming in the past. They were being led to believe that they were getting messages directly from Donald Trump or Kamala Harris themselves. And in some cases, they were targeting people with dementia. They were intentionally taking advantage of the fact that these people had poor memories as a result of Alzheimer's and did not remember that they already made payments so that they could charge them and double charge them and triple charge them and quadruple charge them. Some people even spend all of their life savings. This kind of thing is rampant in politics. Old people vote in very large and disproportionate numbers. And people in politics are often willing to do or say anything if it means that they can keep their fiefdom of power. This example with the Medicare Advantage No Upcode Act thing is just one of many. If you want to fight back against it, honestly, call your representative, tell them to vote in favor of the No Upcode Act. I think that this is actually a no-brainer. I think that everyone should be in favor of this law. I think that if you don't believe me, you should go look it up. You should really look into what I'm saying. Verify, trust but verify, okay? I promise I have given you an accurate portrayal of the facts, but, look into it if you don't believe me. And, yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you for tuning in.
You have been watching